is it's Wednesday. It's supposed to be a dog world. But do you see how I'm looking this morning? Of course it's a different kind of world, okay? Trae Young saved the Hawks season. The Boston Celtics look a little bit shaky. The Clippers are done. The Suns are advancing. So are the Nuggets. It's a whole bunch of stuff to talk to. These are big storylines. Are you ready?
This is a nice sheen to it. It's a little
smooth,
shine.
Right?
Nice.
It is kind of smooth, right?
Tom Ford? Tom Ford?
Yeah, of course.
Okay.
Of course. And look at this brother right here with this plate.
Yes! Hey, he looks like he just got done playing a round of golf. He's having a steak dinner and a glass of cab.
That's right.
I like the Blazer.
Miracles happen. Miracles happen.
Are we done complimenting ourselves?
Only one issue. Don't ever interrupt my soliloquy again. Let's go to Carolina Blue. First takes in the house.
Teal.
Celtics up 117 to 116 and a chance to win the game on this possession. Gets it in the backcourt. Trae against Brown. Waiting for the win. No! There was no doubt about it.
Ice Trae again.
I've been owning the moment my whole life. This is what I do. I'm not afraid of it. I've worked too hard to be afraid of the moment. If we lose one, we're done. So we got to keep that same energy and be ready to play when we get back home.
Well, now that we're done complimenting ourselves, we can let this show start.
Well, I never hear you complaining when you receive compliments.
Good morning, Stephen A.
Good
Welcome
morning,
to
Mom.
First Take.
You know.
JJ Redick, Mad Dog Wednesday.
Good morning. I love the outfit. And that's what are you going to a wedding? I mean, that's the strangest little outfit I've ever seen in
It
my
ain't
life.
strange. It's fly. It's fly. Actually, that tie with that shirt would have worked with this, too. I'm just saying. And by the way, I can joke aside, but you do deserve the compliments on a daily basis.
Thank you.
See how nice I am? I have it in me. I have it in me, JJ. You know what? Only thing missing from you is the shades, Top Gun. I mean, where's the
Producers
shades?
told me I can't wear shades indoors.
You could have for the
outside.
open. And Stephen A. says you could have worn it for the cold open. I'm just a suggestion.
Good to know for the future.
That's right. Okay.
Should we compliment Trae Young?
Yeah, maybe.
I think we should.
Maybe.
Trae Young and the Hawks force a Game 6 versus the Celtics as Boston let a major opportunity pass by last night. Young scored the Hawks' last 14 points, including the game-winning 3 over Jaylen Brown with 2 seconds remaining as Atlanta, minus the suspended DeJounte Murray, stunned Boston 119-117. Ice Trae knows he was made for moments like this.
I think a lot of people watching you in the second half in particular and the crowd actually starting to say F. Trae Young kind of remind a lot of people of the Knicks series a couple years ago. I know each year's individual, but I'm just wondering if it sort of felt like that to you.
No, I didn't feel like the Knicks series. I mean, when in the Knicks series, they started at 10 minutes in the first quarter. So it was a lot different than the night. But, I mean, when people do that, I think that's just total respect. I mean, they ain't doing that to everybody. You know what I'm saying? I've been owning the moment my whole life. This is what I do. I'm not afraid of it. I've worked too hard to be afraid of the moment.
JJ, tell me this. Is Boston's Game 5 loss to Atlanta concerning?
I want to start with this.
Okay.
Give Trae Young a lot of credit for last night. Down DeJounte Murray, on the road, in TD Garden, facing elimination, and he had a great game. You know, last night he had a 100% usage rate in clutch time. That's unheard of. He literally did everything for the Atlanta Hawks down the stretch. But I am concerned about the Boston Celtics. Do I think they're going to win the series? I do think they will win this series. Long term, though, I saw last night a lot of the problems that popped up last year in the playoffs when they struggled. And that comes down to decision making. And there was some poor decision making last night. And I'd love to show you some of those poor decisions with some B-roll here. Let's go. All right, so this is Tatum getting double teamed. Bad pass. Still had his dribble. Compounds it with a foul. Tatum, Brown, those are the two guys that had problems last year. Making turnovers. Marcus Smart, illegal screen. Boston, 2-point lead with 1:52. That's 2 turnovers here. Very next play. Tatum bats the ball out of bounds. Technical foul. So they compound another foul with the technical. And here, this is inexcusable. Jaylen Brown jumping in the air, makes the decision on the fly. They get the 2-point lead, and then Trae Young gets fouled at half court by Marcus Smart. That is a bad foul. And then on this last play, Marcus Smart too late with the double. Jaylen Brown way too far back with the pickup point. Yes, Trae Young made a ridiculous shot, but that is 6 bad plays down the stretch for the Boston Celtics. You're going to get past Atlanta. I believe that.
Yeah.
You're going to go against the Sixers in the next series. You're going to go against the Heat, the Knicks, or the Bucks in the series after that. You're going to go against the Suns, the Nuggets, the Lakers, the Warriors, the Kings in the next series after that. You can't afford to make these mistakes down the stretch of a basketball game.
I agree with you. There's no refuting that, but I'm still unconcerned. I'm still unconcerned about this game because I think ultimately Trae Young showed out last night. He's skilled enough, he's gifted enough, particularly in pressurized moments, to step up and show you that he can deliver the goods in moments the way that he did. But I'm going to harken back, JJ, to what you talked about when you talked about Trae Young earlier this year. He hasn't had the greatest season. I found a stat last night. Of the 458 players with at least 1,000 field goal attempts this season, Trae Young was tied for the third worst effective field goal percentage in the league at 48.5. Only Rookie of the Year, Paolo Banchero and Terry Rozier were worse. That's it. We see a volume guy, but not necessarily high in efficiency. We understand that there's been other issues going on in Atlanta. I think that the Boston Celtics are obviously a superior team, and I think they walked into last night's game taking it for granted. Now, we don't see any evidence that Mazzulla is a worse coach than Ime Udoka. Obviously, they won 6 more games during the regular season. Obviously, they're here in the postseason. They're doing their thing. We get all of that. Offensive efficiency was a little bit better this year than it was last year. We get all of that. But here's the flip side. It's the playoffs now. And the Boston Celtics, who are the reigning defending Eastern Conference champions, it is entirely conceivable that with them being superior to Atlanta throughout the series for the most part, combined with the fact that DeJounte Murray didn't play last night, that sometimes these kind of weaknesses will show themselves. You take a team for granted, you're on your home turf, you think you're going to close them out, and you don't play with the level of urgency that you should have played with. I think they do that. They correct that in Game 6. I don't think this goes back to Boston. I think they go back on the road. Jason Tatum is going to resemble what he looked like in Games 1 and 2 when he was shooting the ball from the field and from three-point range more effectively than he has it over the last 3 games. I think they close Atlanta out in Game 6.
Well, the one problem about just last night, they also lost Game 3 where they gave up 70-something points at the half, up 2-0. They could have made it an easy series. They didn't do that. They lost Game 3 in Atlanta. I'd be worried about the Celtics. Now, listen, I agree. You got to look at they're going to win, and they'll probably win Game 6. And, I still think they'd be favored against Philly, but they're erratic. And they're not completely trustworthy. You did a great job with the 6 calls. All right, you want to debate the technical foul. Bottom line is don't bat the ball out of bounds.
That's an automatic, though.
That's an automatic? They call that automatic?
Yeah,
it wasn't egregious. If it's automatic, okay. But, they just are not completely trustworthy as a team. And they lose a lot of home games. Bucks beat them twice last year in the second round. Miami beat them. Atlanta beat them. Golden State beat them twice. They lose a lot of games in that building, which also is a little bit concerning. Listen, I don't know who is going to – I think they probably – now the Bucks are down 3-1. I don't know what to think about the Bucks. I think the Bucks can come back and win. But maybe the Celtics get out of the East, but I don't think they win the NBA championship. I cannot completely trust them. And they got a better team than they did last year because Brogdon's sitting there. And obviously they got a little more depth and everything else. I don't think they win an NBA championship. I don't completely trust them, and last night would be the case in point. To me, it's not about Trae Young. They won okay, good win, good performance, made some shots. They're going to lose on Thursday anyway. To me, it's about what this means for the Celtics.
JJ, is erratic a fair characterization for the Celtics?
It's weird because if you look across the regular season and if you look at last year's playoff run, you can't argue with the end result. They were top 2 in defense, top 2 in offense in the regular season this year. They were 2 games away from an NBA championship last season. But I think erratic can be a descriptor of this team, and it comes down to erratic decision-making. And I'll give you another decision I didn't like. They played the large majority of clutch time last night without their third best player on the floor.
Okay,
Derek White.
Let's remind our audience what clutch time is because in the last 5 minutes.
Last 5 minutes,
5 points.
under 5 points,
There we go.
right? Which was basically the last.
I'm just saying everybody, JJ and I know that, but they don't know that. Okay,
but Derek White was not on the floor. Yeah. He's been their third best player in the series. And I understand you trust Marcus Smart, you trust Horford and Williams. I understand all that. You got to find a way to put Derek White on the floor at the end of the game.
I agree. No argument there.